Police say they found an arsenal of weapons in a man's car during a traffic stop yesterday in Queens, including a machete, knives, a loaded gun, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. But then it gets weird. 27-year-old Judd Sanson, now in custody, was also equipped with body armor and a mask in a black Ford Explorer with a license plate blacked out. And there's more. Police reportedly found a baton with "God forgive me" written in Arabic. This comes as 8 men from Tajikistan with possible ties to ISIS were arrested in New York, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. Immigration officials say those men were fully vetted when they came to the border, and no red flags came up in the computer systems. So is that good news or is it bad news? Either way, the acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement tells us it's not unusual.
I mean, it's quite common where there's just nothing. You know, you don't have anything. It's no criminal convictions. There's no threat information or whatever on these individuals. Or maybe these individuals are from an area that are particularly of concern, but that pops up later.
Okay, as alarming as this is, what's even more disturbing is that the ICE chief says there's not enough resources to stop every threat. So while they were able to capture these guys, after some of them had been here for more than a year, by the way, what about the next ones? NewsNation's Entin is live for us now from Miami. And Brian, a real crisis of resources here. And what's up with the database that just says all clear all the time?
Yeah, it's pretty shocking, Elizabeth. First of all, the director said the fact that they did track down the 8 alleged terrorists before anything bad happened, it's obviously a good thing, a sign that their intel and vetting systems are working. But that was after the men were let into the country, which is an important point. And he made clear that right now they do have major resources and staffing issues. Acting Director Patrick Lechleitner told me that there are just too many people in the system, and one ICE agent is responsible for keeping track of thousands and thousands of undocumented migrants, which is basically just impossible.
As an example, that's like a probation parole officer overseeing about 7,000 people.
How's that even possible?
It's silly.
It sounds silly.
It's really crazy. It's just so large and it's untenable. But it's a situation where we're in. We don't have enough people to arrest our way out of this. We could use definitely more resources, more support personnel specifically, and more detention officers. We need more money, and we could use more money for detention space. I've been on the record saying that, and we also need some more money for our resource needs for transportation.
He was really pretty candid, Elizabeth. I was surprised to hear him describe it as silly and crazy, but it really is when you think about it. One ICE agent responsible for keeping track of 7,000 people.
That's ridiculous. And he says repeatedly we need more resources. And that's the one thing President Biden can't give him with his new executive order. It's Congress that has to allocate resources.
Yeah, and he has tried going to Congress. He just asked for 50,000 additional detention beds, and he's waiting to hear back. In terms of the executive order and whether that will help things, he says it's really still too soon to know. He is optimistic. President Biden's executive order, you'll remember, it places limits on the number of asylum seekers. This is interesting. NewsNation's border correspondent, Ali Bradley, obtained a memo from the ICE director that I interviewed. It's a memo that went out to agents. It's called Guidance on Non-Citizens Manifesting Fear, and it says that agents should look for nonverbal actions that may indicate fear, such as hysteria, trembling, shaking, unusual behavior, changes in tone of voice, incoherent speech patterns, panic attacks, or an unusual level of silence. So that's what they want them to look for to see if they need asylum. I asked the director about that. From our reporting, we know that many of these migrants are coached on what to say so that they can get into the country and claim asylum, even if maybe they're not from a country or a place where they're really fearful. I mean, couldn't they just do that in this situation, read this memo? We know the memos get translated.
Mm-hmm. No, it could. We could. But we got to make sure that we're not disregarding some real fear out there. So we need to make sure we have a fair and humane, immigration system as well. There's always the risk that somebody's going to try and get over on us and pull the wool over our eyes, if you will. But we need our enforcement individuals to also, mitigate that.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.